You're listening to This Week in the World of Football, which is coming to you from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. The purpose of this podcast is to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. The intent is to educate, inform, and entertain you, the listener, with the glorious buffet that is the world of football, while also keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. You can find this show on a multitude of podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Timestamps are provided in the show description, so you can jump to the topics you really want to listen to. So without further ado, let's kick off this week's show.
Hello again, everyone. This is episode number 394 for May 20th, 2025. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, 49ers quarterback Brock Purdy signs a big new contract with the team. The matchups are set in the UFL playoffs, and the European League of Football kicks off its 5th season. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son, Adam.
How come every May it seems like we get some big, dumb storm that is just a pain in the butt? Last year we had the tornado. This year we had a couple of thunderstorms.
Yep.
So...
Well, they were saying that there's been like 8 tornadoes in several counties around here from last week. You know, you lost power for like 2-3 days.
For 2 days.
We lost power for 3 days, and
well, actually, like a day. It wasn't even a full 24 hours, I think.
Well, we lost it from Thursday night to sometime overnight.
Hold on, you
Saturday
say
night.
you lost it, but you have a generator which kicks on as soon as the power goes out, so it's like you didn't lose power. So
well,
you might have
the generator was running for almost 3 days.
Yeah, but you were able to still get on your internet, watch your Netflix, do whatever you normally do as a retired old fogey.
And I was glad to see that the propane people came and filled up our tank again because we used so much of it the last 3 days.
First world problems here. I mean, shoot, you who was it? Mom texted me saying, you guys have been without power, and I called you up to be like, well, Dad, you could come over and watch the arena game at my house if you don't have power. And you're like, I don't need to come over. I got a generator. We have power. I'm like, well, then why you guys complain about not having power when you have power? It was just a whole thing. It was just, I was like, you guys stink. You're stinking generator.
It was running day and night for almost 3 days.
Oh, well, it must be nice.
Yeah, it was. It was really nice. Best investment we ever made.
What about your children? Aren't we investments?
Your warranty is expired. You're out on your own now.
Woof.
All right, not only do we have this podcast where we talk about the weather a lot, I guess, but we also have YouTube videos.
That comes with the territory of having the last name Snow, I think. It's a burden we have to carry.
Oh, yeah. We currently have over 550 videos on our YouTube channel, with the newest ones being our AF1 Week 9 recap, which we didn't get out until after we posted our podcast last week. Mm-hmm. And then, was it last night? We did the Week 10 recap. Yep. So we got that out. And then last night, after you and I were done, you and Kyle sat down and did a new episode of Just Lying Around, talking about the draft and the 2025 schedule being released. So, it's been a busy couple of days.
It has been.
I've got another podcast I'm doing tonight for a fellow PFRA guy, and other upcoming videos we're going to have is next week we're going to have our AF1 Week 11 recap.
Yep, and
probably Monday night.
I'm still trying to put together my predicting the 2025 NFL season. It's just been a long weekend, and with no power, that really put a dent in my working on that. So.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right. Well, let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football, and we're going to start off this week with scores from Arena Football 1. This was Week 10 in the AF1. Only 2 games this week. The first game on Saturday night was the Southwest Kansas Storm defeating the Billings Outlaws by the score of 65-56. This was the Vice TV game, and quarterback Jalen Morton returned to the Storm after a brief trip down to Birmingham, having a week's vacation down there in the UFL and trying out for that team, and they sent him back. So I guess the Storm had a bye last week, so he didn't really miss anything with the team.
It was kind of the perfect situation for him. Got to go down, try out some UFL stuff, came back to the Storm, and led him to victory. He looked great, by the way, during this game. He threw 7 touchdown passes. He also had a very nice run at one point early in the game, so he's definitely a difference maker. We were wondering how this team would look without him, and fortunately for them, they didn't have to worry about that this week.
Yeah. Well, Billings started out with a nice 9-0 lead, and after that, the two teams just kind of kept swapping scores through the second quarter. And by halftime, Southwest Kansas had managed to take a 30-23 lead. Or I'm sorry, by halftime it was 37-37 in the game. So then it was 51-50 in the third quarter. Billings, I guess, missed a field goal or missed an extra point, and that's where the difference was. But from there on, it was just it seemed like it was all Southwest Kansas, and they come out with the 65-56 win. Like I said, Billings looked good early, looked good in the first half, even into the third quarter. But after that, they just kind of
something. I don't know.
The wind got taken out of their sails or something, but they just didn't have it down the stretch.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically, like 2 or 3 plays were the difference in this game. It felt like Southwest Kansas just finally put their foot on the Billings' throat and just called game at the end.
I think it was that onside kick they tried. That was a big difference because that was they were down. I forget what the score was at that time, but man, that hurt them.
It was probably, I think, a little premature to go with that call. But I mean, I'm sure we see the Detroit Lions do stuff like that. We're like, is it too early to do that?
If it works, he's a genius,
right?
And this one just didn't work.
If we've learned anything, Coach said Walker's got the hardware to prove that he knows what he's doing,
right? Yeah.
So I mean, I think it was worth taking a gamble there. Maybe you're trying to just catch the other team off guard a little bit, try to steal a possession,
right?
But it just didn't work, and Billings, by no means do I think they are out of the postseason hunt yet. They're not dead in the water, but they definitely have to right the ship quick.
Yeah,
they've been their own worst enemy.
Kind of
in 2 of their last 3 games, especially since they got in this new lineup. Because Darius Prince has looked great, and then Malik Henry at quarterback has been great for them too.
Right.
So there's no reason. They just got to tighten up, make a couple less mistakes, and as improved as we thought that defense kind of looked against the Storm at times, they got to steal a possession here or there. They got to get a couple stops.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we could be talking about Billings being in the playoffs, but with 4 weeks left, 11, 12, 13, 14, we got 4 weeks of games left to decide this playoff picture. Billings has got to turn it around quick.
Yeah, Darius Prince had 3 touchdown catches in the first half, and I don't remember if he had any in the second half or not. But
he had 4. Did he have 4 touchdowns total? I could pull up the stats.
Yeah, I don't recall, but I know for a fact he had 3 in the first half because his third one came as time expired in the first half, and that's what made the score 37-37. He probably did have at least one more in the second half, but nothing like the first half. They just I don't know what happened in the second half.
Well, once again, he had that highlight catch that kind of...
Oh, yeah, he's always got a highlight catch.
Sports Center, I don't think it popped up on there or not, but he had 6 touchdown catches during the game.
Okay, wow.
So I'd say 8 catches for 95 yards, and I believe that's touchdown catches. Yeah, 6 touchdown catches for Darius Prince. So not a bad night.
Okay, so obviously he's not the problem.
He's definitely not the problem, but...
Yeah, just a little disappointing. Of course, I'm always rooting for Billings, and just I really thought they were going to win that game, but boy, they just didn't have it there in the fourth quarter. All right, let's move on to the other game. On Sunday night, it was the Oregon Lightning defeating the Washington Wolfpack by the score of 52-20. This was the 4th meeting of the season for these two teams. I was just shocked that the Lightning came out and really took control of this game right from the beginning. They jumped out to a 12-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. They had a 39-14 lead going into halftime. They shut out Washington in the third quarter, and the Lightning scored 13 points in the fourth to take a 52-14 lead, and gave up a late touchdown, I guess, or what. Just shocked me. I know these two teams have played quite a bit, and each one of them has looked pretty bad at times so far. But this was actually the fourth win for Oregon, and they are right in the middle of the playoff hunt right now.
Yeah, that was our big question on our video, or at least that's what I made the thumbnail was. Can this team make the playoffs? Look, we've talked about it. They have 3 wins against teams that are kind of, I don't know, not scrub teams, but you know what I mean. They beat
not the top tier teams.
They beat a Corpus Christi team that was literally rebuilding. They beat the Wolfpack now twice, and then they got the fluky win against the Southwest Kansas Storm, which they needed to complete the Hail Mary, so that's on them. But they were only gifted that, I think, because of bad coaching by the Storm at that point. So can this team hang with? They got a very tough opponent this upcoming week. Can they hang with them? We will have to wait and see. But they are positioned at the moment in a very good spot, especially with Billings and Salina right behind them. So we'll see. Maybe the Lightning get in.
Yeah, we'll see. On bye this past weekend was the Salina Liberty, Nashville Cats, Albany Firebirds, and Corpus Christi Tritons. In a little bit of news that I guess came out the week before, but we didn't know about it last week, Albany has clinched a playoff spot and the number 1 seed in the playoffs. So they're set. Everything's going to go through Albany, I guess, to get to the championship game.
Yeah, it looks like they're already getting ready to play the game there for the title, whatever that game's going to be called. We still don't know, but should be interesting.
Yeah.
We got 4 weeks left.
Well, looking ahead to next week, week 11, it's going to be 3 games on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. It's going to be the Oregon Lightning at the Nashville Cats, the Corpus Christi Tritons at the Albany Firebirds, Billings Outlaws at the Salina Liberty, and the Washington Wolfpack at the Southwest Kansas Storm. And that's going to be your Vice game of the week. You're giving me that strange look.
Well, because we before the show we were talking about the script's really long and we got all this stuff in there. Maybe we don't talk about the upcoming games.
Well, I've already got it written down. We can do it this week.
You got everything written down here. I thought we were just eliminating them on the fly, but I guess not.
No, well, at least not for this league. Anyway, looking at the standings after 10 weeks in the AF1. You've got Albany at 8-0, Southwest Kansas at 6-3, Nashville at 3-3, and Corpus Christi at 3-3. If the playoffs were today, those would be your 4 teams that we're in. And right behind those teams are the Oregon Lightning at 4-5, Billings at 3-5, Salina at 2-5, and Washington at 2-7.
So.
Yeah.
I don't know what the math says, if Washington is mathematically eliminated yet or not. They got to be darn close.
Yeah. Well, they haven't said so. I mean, they're only...
well, it took them a couple extra days to say that the Firebirds had clinched the first round playoff spot no matter what, or the number 1 seed. So.
And like you pointed out before, it goes by winning percentage because all these teams don't play the same number of games. Yeah. So one team, like Oregon's at 4 or 5, but they're sitting in the number 5 spot right now because of their winning percentage.
Right.
So that's why those numbers don't look right.
Yeah, it looks weird when you look at it, but when you look at the percentages, it's a different story.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on now to the National Arena League, which played some games this week, and there's a couple of interesting notes from this. Thursday, it's week 11, by the way, in the NAL. Thursday, the Colorado Spartans defeated the Idaho Horsemen 68-20. The Wheeling Miners defeated the Sioux City Bandits 28-20. And then how about this? The Columbus Lions on Saturday gave the Beaumont Renegades their first loss of the season.
Yeah.
40-37 in that one. A little surprise, but
it was a surprise.
But hey, now we got a little competition here as the Columbus Lions now show a little life against these Renegades.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the story that everybody in the indoor/arena scene is talking about, in an exhibition game, that's right, we're going to dive heavily into an exhibition game for a change, as the Shreveport Rougarou technically defeated a team that used to be the Philadelphia Soul, the Dallas Falcons, as a result of a forfeit. This is crazy. I knew this game was going on. I rolled my eyes, and I kept seeing that the Falcons were winning at a couple points. I was like, oh, shoot, this will be interesting to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But the game ended up being tied 37-37 going into overtime of this one. But a big old brawl broke out on the final play of regulation here. If you haven't seen this video, I'm sure you could find it. It's absolutely...
I reposted it.
It's insanity. Just absolutely wild and scary. Several Dallas players were ejected, and the team could not field enough players to play the overtime period, hence leading to them having to, quote, forfeit this game.
Yeah, so it's technically a 1-0 forfeit win for Shreveport.
What a dumb, weird, wild way to finish.
Yeah, that's one of the strangest things I've seen in indoor and arena football in a long time.
And the game didn't even count.
Yeah, and a game that didn't even count.
You know, if you're not going to count, at least be interesting like this.
Yeah, they could have just said, okay, game's over, tie game, with the brawl and all that, but they had to go and make it a forfeit.
Yeah, well, gotta make sure that the National Arena team gets the win, not the AAL2, whatever league the Dallas Falcons are a part of.
I don't know
I
what
can't even
league
keep
that-
that straight. Or, sorry, the Philadelphia Soul, whatever we want to call them. And then on bye this week, the Omaha Beef. And I guess we're going to go and read next week's games. We got... Oh, you gave me that look. You did it first. You did this to yourself.
I've already got it written down. I won't do this next week.
All right. So in week 12 on Saturday, the Columbus Lions are traveling to Wheeling to take on the Miners. The Shreveport Rougarou are traveling to Omaha to take on the Beef. The Colorado Spartans are going to Sioux City to take on the Bandits. And then on Sunday, in another exhibition game. Will this one be as wild as this week's exhibition game? I hope not. The Alabama Empire at the Beaumont Renegades. And then on bye, the Idaho Horsemen.
Yeah, the Horsemen were supposed to have a game against the Carolina Cobras. And that's why they're on a bye this week.
Because the Carolina Cobras folded.
Yes.
They've had a weird social media thing going on. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Cobras.
No, I
at all.
haven't.
They got like 3 different logos. It looks like something's being AI generated them. Yeah, I don't know. New ownership. There was a whole weird thing I saw this week about like a new ownership group taking over and they plan on playing next year. And it's been weird. It's been really weird. If you want to deep dive into that weirdness.
No, thank you.
All right, your standings in the National Arena League after 11 weeks. The Beaumont Renegades in the American Division lead that one with 6 wins, 1 loss, followed by the 4-3 Columbus Lions, the 3-4 Shreveport Rougarou, and the 3-5 Wheeling Miners. And then in the National Division, the Omaha Beef sit at 6-1, followed by the 6-2 Colorado Spartans, the 3-5 Sioux City Bandits, and the 3-5 Idaho Horsemen.
All right, we're going to move on to the Indoor Football League now. This was Week 9 in the Indoor Football League. On Friday night, it was the Tulsa Oilers over the Quad City Steamwheelers 36-34. Also on Friday night, it was the Bay Area Panthers over the Tucson Sugar Skulls 68-57. On Saturday, it was the San Antonio Gunslingers squeaking past the San Diego Strike Force by the score of 49-48. The Jacksonville Sharks over the Fishers Freight, 59-27. Green Bay Blizzard over the Iowa Barnstormers, 74-58. The Arizona Rattlers over the Vegas Nighthawks, 50-47.
Did you see any of this game?
No, I did not.
So clearly, since we don't have the IFL network, and heads up, we're going to be talking to our buddy Trey this week about the IFL. But the Rattlers were down with like a minute to go. I forget how many points it was they were down, but they were down by a couple of scores, and they came back and won the game. They scored 15 points, I want to say, in the final minute of the game to win this one. So I guess if you did math, that means they were down like 47 to what would that be? Math is hard. To 35. Does that math check out? I don't know. But it seemed like a wild ending. I wanted to give that a shout out because the Rattlers, rare seeing them down at all.
Yeah.
And the fact that they had to climb back with a minute left and score as many points as they did is just wild. What a finish.
And then finally on Sunday, the Northern Arizona Wranglers defeated the Massachusetts Pirates 33-24, giving the Northern Arizona Wranglers their first win of the season. Hallelujah. Thank goodness. We've been saying for weeks they need to get a win. They were the only winless team in the Indoor Football League, and they finally got that win Sunday. All right, looking ahead to next week, on Friday, it's the Tulsa Oilers at the Iowa Barnstormers. On Saturday, it's the Jacksonville Sharks at the Fishers Freight. That's a rematch of last week. The Bay Area Panthers at the San Antonio Gunslingers. Arizona Rattlers at Northern Arizona Wranglers. Man, these all look like rematches. And then on Sunday, it's the Vegas Nighthawks at the San Diego Strike Force. And on bye, it's going to be the Quad City Steamwheelers, Tucson Sugar Skulls, Massachusetts Pirates, and Green Bay Blizzard. So looking at the IFL standings after 9 weeks, in the East, it's Quad City at 6-2, Green Bay at 5-3, Jacksonville at 5-2, Tulsa at 5-2, Massachusetts at 2-5, Fishers Freight at 2-5, and the Iowa Barnstormers at 1-6. And then in the West, it is the Arizona Rattlers at 6-1, Bay Area Panthers at 5-2, Vegas Nighthawks at 4-3, San Diego Strike Force 3-4, Tucson Sugar Skulls 3-4, San Antonio Gunslingers at 2-5, and the Northern Arizona Wranglers at 1-6.
All right. And with that, we're going to go outdoors this time. We're going to be talking about the UFL. That's right. The league is still playing, despite the fact that they're not getting as many butts and seats as we'd like. Friday night saw the Memphis Showboats beat the San Antonio Brahmas 24-22. This was a game of two teams that only had one win. So now the Showboats get their second win of the year. I think I was watching this game before we lost power. So, because was it Friday night or Thursday? No, I think I started watching this after we got power back. That's what it was. And I fell asleep.
Okay. Saturday,
the St. Louis Battlehawks defeated the Birmingham Stallions in a very close game, 29-28. This helps Michigan, the Panthers, as we'll talk about in a second. Saturday, the Michigan Panthers defeated the Houston Roughnecks 30-18. I caught a bit of this game, even though I had to work. The Panthers looking pretty good, I'd have to say. And then Sunday, the DC Defenders defeated the Arlington Renegades 33-30. But I don't know if you saw this, where the last couple minutes of the game, they just cut off, and you had to go to ESPN2 to finish watching the game.
Oh, yes, because they had some other sport coming on.
Yeah, NBA countdown. A bunch of guys at a desk. It wasn't even a game being played. It was like a pregame thing.
Really? Oh,
for the NBA. So
I thought it was an actual game that.
Eventually, but some UFL fans are upset that they'd cut away for a pregame show. I don't know. I didn't catch it, but I did see that Luis Perez threw a back-breaking interception that helped the Defenders, get the win. Weird play calling, because they could have gone down and kicked the field goal to try to tie it up, but they threw a pass for some reason. And it got intercepted. So wild finish there between DC and Arlington. All right, let's talk some playoffs, because the Panthers and the Birmingham Stallions both qualified for the playoffs in the USFL conference. They will play on June 8th in Birmingham, because Ford Field is not available that weekend. So they've already set it in stone that no matter who's the first place team, it's going to be played in Birmingham.
Right,
which, I'm sorry, I don't think that's a fair shake.
That kind of stinks, but
I think Jordan Ta'amu of the DC Defenders said that he didn't like this. We'll talk about that in a second, because then the DC Defenders and the St. Louis Battlehawks both qualified for the playoffs in the XFL conference. They will play the game in St. Louis on June 8th. So with that one, let me look at the standings real quick, because the Battlehawks and Defenders have the same record right now. But even Ta'amu was saying the best team should get to host it, and if they can't do that, they need to play at a neutral site like Arlington, which is the hub, or was the hub for the UFL this year.
Right.
So I kind of agree with that. Like, if the Panthers can't host at Ford Field, that game, I don't think it's fair that it be played in Birmingham, where it's the Stallions are the, quote, number 2 seed. They're not the home team, but it's their stadium. I mean, come on now.
Play it at the big house in Ann Arbor.
I mean, I don't.
It's got 100,000 people in there watching the Panthers.
Dad, they can barely get 10,000 people to go to a game. And you want to do that by 10?
Well, there wouldn't be much lines at the concessions or the bathrooms.
Yeah, that's saying that. But no, so I don't know. I feel like they should have been prepared for something like this. Arlington probably would have been a great compromise for teams that couldn't host it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They're not going to revise it. They've already put out all their press about the games being in those, dates, times are already all established.
Right, yeah.
So now essentially we're just playing the next couple weeks just for seeding, and even then that isn't going to affect the final.
Right, yeah, it's already set in stone. They don't need to play another game now.
I feel like this happened last year, where the last couple weeks just didn't mean much because everything was already set. We already knew who had to play who, and that was it. So the UFL's got to work that out. That's one of their big problems they got to work on next year.
Well, yeah, you got 4 teams that are really good and 4 teams that aren't so good. So
well, hold on. I think you had 4 teams that were pretty good, 2 teams that were borderline good that just probably had a couple of bad games, and if they would have flipped them, they'd be right in the mix. And then you got 2 teams that were just not great. So speaking of that, let's look at the standings, I guess. The XFL division after 8 weeks. The DC Defenders and St. Louis Battlehawks sit at 6-2, followed by the 3-5 Arlington Renegades and the 1-7 San Antonio Brahmas. And then in the USFL division, the 6-2 Michigan Panthers lead the way, followed by the 5-3 Birmingham Stallions, the 3-5 Houston Roughnecks, and the 2-6 Memphis Showboats.
Boy, do you think the DC Defenders will take the beer snake all the way to the UFL championship game?
God willing. We'll see what happens.
All right, moving on south of the border to the LFA, La Liga de Fútbol Americano Profesional, Week 3 scores. 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday this week. On Saturday, it was the Mexicans over the Archangels, 22-19. The Leaders over the Dinos, 24-12. The Bears improved to 3-0 with a win over the Raptors, 35-15. And the Black Roosters over the Kings, 34-18. Yeah, I'm liking those Bears. They're an expansion team, a brand new team. George Kittle and some other NFL players own the team or have a share in the team.
Yeah.
And they're 3-0 already, so good for them.
That's pretty cool. Something to keep an eye out on. Still haven't sat down to watch a game. But I got their YouTube channel. I think I'm subscribed to them, so I can check out some highlights at some point. It's been busy. There's so much football now.
Yes, I know.
I mean, clearly, look at this show. We are just inundated with.
Yeah,
scores.
we need some of these other leagues to wrap it up because we got one more league coming out. One came out yesterday, and another one's coming out in a couple weeks.
And you want to talk about preseason games for another league? So
just the one.
Just the one. Well, we'll get to that one in a second. But for now, let's move over to the Women's Football Alliance, where we're going to talk about a few of their selected games. At least Dad hasn't pulled out every game on their schedule because we'd be here for another 30 minutes.
Yeah.
We're going to pull out 3 random scores, as Randy likes to say, based on whatever criteria he's feeling this morning when he's looking for all this.
Well, we did have a comment from somebody saying, why didn't we mention the DC Divas? So that's why I included the DC Divas score this week for the Women's Football Alliance. And these are week 3 scores, by the way.
There you go, everybody. If you want to see your team mentioned, yell at Randy in the comments. All right, the first score, as Randy mentioned, the DC Divas defeated the Minnesota Vixens 40-16. Then you had the Indiana Valor over the Derby City Dynamite 25-11. Ooh, I like that name, the Derby City Dynamite.
Yeah, from Louisville, Kentucky.
Just rolls off the tongue. I like that a lot. Unfortunately, they got the loss, so I ain't getting a T-shirt of them anytime soon.
Oh, okay.
Then the Houston Energy defeated the Nebraska Pride 13-12. So we had a bit of a squeaker in that one, it looks like.
Yep.
So that's it for the Women's Football Alliance.
And now we go across the pond over to Europe for the European League of Football's Week 1 action. 16 teams were in.
They got a nice, healthy group of
several
teams.
different countries. There's like 3 or 4 in Germany, but they're sprinkled out all over the place. But on Saturday, it was the Rochelau Panthers.
Hold on, we struggled with this last year.
Yeah,
it's not a W, right?
I kept calling them the Roclaw, and somebody says it's Rochelau is how it's pronounced.
Okay.
So, and if I'm wrong, correct me again. But Rochelau Panthers.
Yeah, somebody's kicking their table.
Yeah,
listening
over the Ferrovar Enthroners, 55-12. Also on Saturday, it was the Rhine Fire over the Paris Musketeers, 17-15, in a close game there.
The Rhine Fire again, the defending ELF champs.
Are they? Okay. I don't remember who won last year.
It was the Rhine Fire. It was one of our thumbnails. Come on now, Randy.
Okay. And also on Saturday, it was the Madrid Bravos over the Hamburg Sea Devils, 13-12, in another squeaker. Then on Sunday, you had the brand new Nordic Storm in their first game, defeating the Helvetic Mercenaries 56-12. Way to go, Storm, on your first ever game in the ELF. Also Sunday, the Berlin Thunder over the Cologne Centurions, 64-14. The Munich Ravens over the Tyrol Raiders. Raiders Tyrol is how they kept putting it out. That's probably how I'll put it down next week. Tyrol Raiders, 20-7.
Well, I think that's we just did it like that because even the Panthers, Verklage, however the heck you say,
right?
They flip European teams. They flip the names around, but we're gonna read it like city then nickname.
Okay. The Vienna Vikings defeated the Prague Lions 28-6, and finally the Stuttgart Surge defeated the Frankfurt Galaxy 33-20.
God love the ELF because it's the only league where the Vikings are going to beat the Lions in anything, unlike the NFL where the Lions beat the Vikings twice.
So many of these names, come from the NFL Europe, and like Berlin Thunder and the Cologne Centurions. I don't know if that was a championship game matchup or not, but
I'm not sure.
They played many times in the years that they
but
were
I do
part
like
of
that there's a little NFL connection.
NFL
Like the
Europe.
Raiders are connected with the Las Vegas Raiders a little bit, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
The Panthers are connected with the Carolina Panthers somehow.
The Vikings?
I think the Vikings might be.
Their helmet is like somewhat similar to the Vikings.
The color scheme, everything about the Vikings.
The horns
is
are backwards, though, leading forward.
So there got to be some connections there. I'm sure people comment and be like, "Didn't we teach you guys last year?" And we'll go, "Well, we don't remember." But
We've forgotten.
But look, I want to see more connection like that. I think this is good for the NFL. And
Sure.
shoot, if they could get a few NFL connections, then how about you add some CFL connections? Couldn't we see some cool synergy there? That'd be great. Darn my Frankfurt Galaxy getting a loss. Frankfurt's usually my team. I've always loved their logo, so they've always kind of been my European team. So that stinks. And unfortunately, Randy doesn't have his
Milano semen?
The Milano semen. You know, Randy's missing that semen, everybody. He made sure to tell me the other day he was glad that we don't have to talk about this team so that I don't have to bring it up and make jokes. And here we are talking about how much Randy misses the semen. Are you heartbroken, Randy, over the lack of semen?
I'm a Nordic Storm fan now,
are you?
so it's the Storm for me.
So it's either a storm or semen. A storm of semen sometimes.
Shut up. Go to the next one.
Am I leading this? Oh, man, I got to read preseason scores? Okay.
Do you want me to do this one?
Nope, I guess I'll do it. It's got my name next to it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to jump into talking about CFL preseason. Look, I love talking CFL, but I hate talking preseason.
Well, I only mentioned it because it is the first game of the preseason.
It
We're not
is.
going to talk more preseason in the next couple of weeks, but I thought this one was interesting.
All right. Well, the Calgary Stampeders defeated the BC Lions 26-16. This game was played at Langford's Starlight Stadium, a 6,000-seat multi-purpose venue on Vancouver Island.
Yeah, I believe this is where their Touchdown Pacific game was played last year. It had a different name last year. This year, it's called Langsford Starlight Stadium.
I mean,
but
if anything, this is the cool thing that you could do with the CFL preseason. Go to
Sure.
these locations, and even the Argonauts played somebody that wasn't a CFL team. I think I'm not 100% sure. They played a game. I don't know. A scrimmage or something against. I don't think did they scrimmage against a college team. I'm not 100% sure.
don't know.
I'd have to look that up.
They play their training camps at a college, but maybe they did have some kind of scrimmage.
You're
with
telling me you
college
don't know?
No, I don't.
Mr. CFL preseason expert over there.
I have not heard that, so I don't know.
How could you not know?
I've got a story about a couple of Canadian college teams playing a couple of American college teams in across the border games coming up, but I have not heard about the Argonauts.
I don't know. I could have swore I saw somebody post a picture of a score. I don't know if it was a scrimmage or what, but I knew we were going to talk preseason. I can't find it, but I don't know. There's nothing on their official X account, so maybe I'm just crazy. Whatever I saw posted somewhere. So.
Yeah, you're off your rocker. Okay, well that's it for this week's scoreboard. Thankfully, what are we at? About 45-minute mark right now?
We're about 33 minutes in.
Okay. Let's go on to some more happenings in the world of football. We're going to start in the NFL. Brock Purdy has signed a 5-year, $265 million contract extension with the 49ers. It comes with a full no-trade clause for the duration of the contract.
Wow.
I didn't see anything about any guaranteed money.
I mean,
So maybe he exchanged guaranteed money for the no trade clause.
I mean,
it's kind of like the same thing. If he's going to be there the whole time, he's going to get all that money.
well, depending on what other incentives there are, I know all these deals are laden with incentives.
Yeah.
But I was shocked to see this. Look, don't get me wrong. Brock Purdy got his money.
Yeah.
His agent did his job.
I feel the
job.
same way.
But if I was the 49ers, I don't think I'd have gone this far. Nothing against Brock Purdy. I just don't know if the sample size is there. Yeah, he's led you to a Super Bowl. But how much of that is him? How much is that the team around him? Or could you have gotten a different quarterback that would do just as good on a cheaper price tag? I don't know. But look, don't get me wrong. He's played decent enough to earn a contract. I'm not saying he didn't deserve money.
Right.
But not. This is Patrick Mahomes type money.
They were saying on a sports show that I was listening to, it averages out to like $53 million a year. That's more than Patrick Mahomes and several other big name quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, it's more than the Super Bowl winning quarterback is making.
It's just.
But yeah, I don't know. Adam Schefter, I think, was saying that they might have had ideas of trading him to another team, but nobody came forward to say we're interested in acquiring him.
Well, now they can't trade him, so now they're kind of saddled with him.
Yep.
I don't know. I just think this is a weird deal. But if you're Brock Purdy, hey, good for you, dude. Like,
sure.
In this business, get your money.
Sure.
And he got it.
Yep.
And that's, at the end of the day, all you can do. It's not about what you deserve, Randy. It is what you negotiate. And he negotiated a good deal for himself. I just don't know if I could have done that as a team owner.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's I'm scratching my head over that one too. All right, another 49er, linebacker Fred Warner, signed a 3-year, $63 million contract extension.
Niners just handing out money. I mean, a couple weeks ago we talked about George Kittle getting an extension.
Yeah, this deal makes him the highest paid off-ball linebacker in the NFL at $21 million per season, and it adds $56 million in guaranteed money to a deal, to his former deal that no longer had any guaranteed money on it, I guess.
Yeah, so good for him, I guess. You know,
Yep.
Hey, I don't have any more guaranteed money. Let's give me an extension. Make me the highest paid off-ball linebacker again. And now I get a bunch of guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Like, who's doing these deals for the 49ers
Only
guys?
$56 million guaranteed, though.
Only?
Only.
I mean, that's more guaranteed than we're going to make.
Yeah. Let's see. The Green Bay Packers signed their first-round pick, wide receiver Matthew Golden, to a 4-year, $17.57 million contract that is fully guaranteed.
Isn't that crazy?
That's like
I've
the
never
second
heard-
one in NFL history.
He was pick number, what, 20 something? He was further down the list. And
Well, I can see them guaranteeing a contract that's only $17 million. I mean, that's some people's signing bonus.
that's nothing, but still, it's just weird to me to hear a fully guaranteed rookie contract.
Right.
What precedent are we setting here? I mean, clearly,
know.
and I believe I saw a number that said that now makes him the highest paid receiver or ball catcher in that Green Bay Packers wide receiver room.
Wow.
Yeah, more than Christian Watson, more than a couple of the other guys they've had there for a couple of years now. He's making more on average than those guys that have been in that locker room. He comes in day one now as the highest paid ball catcher.
Wow.
That's just crazy to me.
Yep.
Whatever, Green Bay.
Yeah, go spend that money, and we'll come up there and beat you. Let's see. Head coach Nick Sirianni of the Eagles has agreed to a multi-year contract extension. I've not seen any terms for this contract. I know he had a press conference a little while ago, so I don't know if anything came out during his press conference, but there were no terms to his agreement, and maybe there aren't going to be. I don't know. But he has signed a multi-year extension. And haven't heard how many years it's actually extending. But, I mean, you win a Super Bowl, yeah, you're going to get something, and they're extending his contract. So,
Yep. And we did have a couple things that broke. I know you're going to talk about this next story that we caught right before we went to air. But here's a breaking story that happened like just as we went to air. As the NFL owners have approved the proposal for players to participate in flag football at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics. They're having those owner meetings right now in Minneapolis. And, I think Roger Goodell just went to the podium a little while ago. So I don't know what other news is going to break. I know they were dealing with the tush push ban proposal, the proposal on restructuring the playoffs by best seeding or by best record, as opposed to just how they were doing it.
Oh, division champions.
Division champs get auto 1 through 4 or whatever. So we'll have to wait and see if any of that breaks before the end of the show. Otherwise, we'll talk about it next week. But another thing that came out of the owners' meetings was this story I thought was interesting. A Hall of Famer, Charles Woodson, was approved at the league meetings today as a limited partner to the ownership group for the Cleveland Browns. So I just found that interesting. A new owner in the NFL.
Yep. Well, good for him. Wonder how he likes being in enemy territory down there in Ohio.
Well, I think he might be from Ohio because then he went to Michigan.
Right, yeah.
And then played in the NFL, obviously, and with the Raiders and Packers. And then now here he is, the minority owner or limited owner of the Browns.
Well, good for him. Let's see. Our last story here. The NFL schedule release videos.
Oh yeah.
I thought we would have our list. I figured you'd have a list and I would have a list of the good ones. I didn't see hardly any of them.
Most of them were crap. I ain't gonna lie. This year I was really disappointed. There were only a couple that really stuck out to me that I saw.
I only saw 3.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. And one of them was just a little while ago.
Well, look, the Lions one I wasn't super impressed with. It was just a drone video of them going to all the different helmets. I was like, it's cool, but it didn't blow me away. I know
you're out of your mind. I love that one.
I knew this was going to happen. You're just easily amused by a drone anything.
Well,
Or places you've been.
But it was all over downtown Detroit, around Ford Field, and down by the waterfront, which is where we were for the NFL draft a couple of years ago, or last year, not a couple of years ago.
Yeah, last year.
So I mean, all these places I recognized in this video. So they only went a few blocks around, but that to me was really cool.
You're the living embodiment of that Leonardo DiCaprio meme where it's just him pointing at the TV screen like, hey, I know where that's from.
I've been there.
I've been there. Yeah, that was Randy the whole time watching this
I'm
video.
always saying that when I see something on TV. Hey, I've been there. My dad was that way twas He'd see something on TV. Hey, I've been there.
But the other ones I caught, the 49ers one got some hype because that was like, what was it, the Oregon Trail video game, but they did it to where they were playing their opponents throughout it. I thought it was okay. It didn't blow me away. I didn't think it was as good as like a lot of the people were ranking it amongst all the schedule release. And then the Colts one, I think, was the other one that everybody talked about because that was like a Minecraft video. But they were also in hot water because they had to apologize to the Dolphins and Tyreek Hill because they're opening games against the Dolphins, and it was a video of a dolphin swimming in the ocean, and he gets stopped by the Coast Guard. Kind of reminiscent, mimicking the arrest from last year that Tyreek Hill had in week 1. So they had to apologize for that, and I believe that video got taken down. And then there were some other issues I want to say with using the Minecraft game and Microsoft not approving it or something like that. So I don't know. It was a whole weird thing. But other than that, none of the schedule releases did anything for me.
Yeah, the only other ones I saw besides Detroit was the Cleveland Browns, and I only watched like the first 30 seconds of that, and I was like, okay, I've seen enough of this. And then just today I saw the Jacksonville Jaguars one because I saw a headline that said the guy that starred in it, the player for the Jaguars, I can't even remember his name, but he comes from an HBCU school, so I checked that out just to see what that was all about, and not that good. So we're putting it out there to our loyal followers. Which ones did you like? Which ones did you not like? Which ones should we check out? And I'll go out of my way to watch a few more of these. So if you know that your team did a really good one, or if you know one that's really good, let us know in the comments, and I'll go check them out, and maybe we'll talk about that next week. But that's all we got to say about the NFL release videos right now. All right, let's move on to the CFL. This kind of goes back to something that we just talked about in the NFL. The CFL and the CFL Players Association both support 2028 Olympic flag football participation for players in the CFL. However, the Olympic Games would be taking place during the heart of the CFL season. So that's something they got to work out. How many players are they going to let go to the Olympics to play flag football? How many per team or whatever, and how are they going to deal with them being gone for a couple weeks?
What you do is for 2 weeks you just have a couple teams play, and you give the other teams buys.
Oh, well, could be. Yeah.
Who are the 2 worst teams? You make them play for a couple weeks, and you send all the good players down to play in the flag football.
But earlier this month, a longtime CFL coach and now a broadcaster, he's on the pregame show and the halftime show, Paul LaPolice, has been named the head coach of the men's program and will oversee preparations for the 2028 Olympics. So, yeah, the CFL's, they want their players to be showcased in the Olympics, and I really didn't think the NFL would allow that.
NFL and CFL players on the flag football field at the exact same time. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll see. I hope it doesn't come to the U.S. versus Canada.
Oh, boy, I hope it does. Could you imagine sitting there talking about how, I don't know, like Amon-Ra St. Brown on the field at the same time as Lucky Whitehead or something like that? Come on.
He's retired now, but
he'll unretire for this. Any good Canadian boy with worth their salt is going to play in this game. Yeah. Tim Capper is going to put on the pads and the leather helmet and go out and play in this game.
I don't know about that, but moving on to some college, and the college news comes from Canada as well. 2 Canadian Junior Football League teams are last weekend's played.
Want to start that sentence over? You're struggling.
Yeah, I am. 2 Canadian Junior Football League teams played exhibition games against teams from the United States NCAA Division III last weekend.
Good job.
The Ottawa Sooners hosted the Montclair State University team at GG Stadium on Friday, And St. John's University traveled north of the border to play the Winnipeg Rifles at the St. Vital Mustangs field on Saturday. This is the third straight year that the Sooners have played an exhibition game against a U.S. team. See, I didn't even know this was going on. I thought this was something totally out of the blue, and come to find out it's been going on every year. Let's see. Third straight year for the Sooners. The Rifles have played U.S. teams a total of 4 times over the last few years. Both spring games were played under a hybrid set of rules, though each team took a different approach to the games. In Ottawa, the two teams played 4-down football with 12 players on the side, and God, I keep losing my place here.
12 men per side,
right?
And Canadian
and
rules.
Canadian rules, right? And then in Winnipeg, the rules set a number of players. The rule set and number of players flipped back and forth based on which team was on offense. So I guess when the Canadian team was on offense, they had 12 guys and it was 3 downs, and so the U.S. team had to throw a 12th player out there or whatever. When the U.S. had the ball, I guess it was 4 downs and 11 guys.
What a weird...
But they make it sound like it's been going on every year. You know how I love the Canadian football, either whether it's college or whatever, and I've never heard that they were playing these games every year against a team from across the border.
Sounds like you're not doing your job good enough.
I guess, man, oh man.
I don't know.
And I tried to find scores from these games, and I don't know if they kept score or not. Maybe it was just like a scrimmage.
I mean, that's hard to keep a score for when you're jumping back and forth between. All right, we're doing 3 downs on this drive, and then you guys are doing 4 downs on your drive. We got 12 men on the field, then we got 11 guys on the. It's just all in good fun. Who cares what the score was?
But
at the end of the day, did they have fun?
I looked
did
everywhere.
Did they all go to Tim Hortons afterwards?
Probably.
And get
some Timbits.
Timbits, and I don't know what else they get from Tim Hortons. I don't eat there. A scrambled eggy in a basket. I don't know.
Whatever. But yeah, I looked on the
website,
the
internet,
the CJFL website, and I looked on the different teams' Facebook pages, and none of them. The one actually talked about the game, who did what, the quarterback did this and whatever, but there was no score mentioned in any of these games. So I'm beginning to think they did not keep score. Because
the Canadians are too nice, and they're like, we don't need to keep score, We're just gonna have fun.
Everybody got a participation trophy
and a gift card to Tim Hortons.
Well, that's not bad. Let's see. Let's move on to our birthdays and anniversaries today for May 20th. Coach Bud Grant was born on this day in 1927. He passed away in 2023 at the age of 95. He was selected in the 4th round of the 1950 NBA draft by the Minnesota Lakers.
Oh, we're talking basketball?
And won the 1950 NBA title with the Lakers. He was then selected in the 14th round of the 1951 NFL draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. He played for the Eagles for 2 years in 51 and 52. Then he went up to Canada, and he played for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from 1953 to 1956. He played in a Grey Cup game in 1953. Then he became the head coach of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers from 1957 to 1966 and won 4 Grey Cup titles. They have a statue to this man outside of Winnipeg Stadium right now as we speak. Then he went on to be the, what everybody knows him for, the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings from 67 to 85, and he led the Vikings to 4 Super Bowls, but didn't win one.
Yeah, that's impressive. What a resume.
Yeah, it is. It is. We did a history lesson about him. I think I called it The Incredible Journey of Bud Grant because he's NBA champion, Grey Cup champion, player and coach, and just... People just think all he did was coach the Minnesota Vikings, and man, like a year or so before he passed away, he showed up at a Vikings game and came out for the pregame coin toss or something, and it was like 20 below zero, and he came out in shirt sleeves. Just what a guy at 95 years old, an incredible guy. All right, let's go on to obituaries. We've got 3 of these today. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first obituary is that of Bobby Ray Franklin, a defensive back in the NFL for 7 seasons, has passed away at the age of 88. Franklin played college football at Ole Miss and was selected in the 11th round of the 1960 NFL draft by the Cleveland Browns. He was also selected in the 1960 American Football League draft by the Los Angeles Chargers. He signed with the Browns and played his entire career with the team from 1960 to 1966. He won an NFL title with the Browns in 1964. After retiring as a player, he became an assistant coach at Georgia Tech and then became the defensive backs coach and special teams coach of the NFL's Dallas Cowboys from 1968 to 1972. He was also an assistant coach with the Baltimore Colts and was a scout for the Seattle Seahawks. He served as the head coach of the Northwest Mississippi Community College football team from 1981 to 2004, leading his teams to national championships in 1982 and 1992.
Our next obituary is that of Tommy Vigorito, Vigorito? How would you say that?
Vigorito.
Vigorito. I was almost going to do it in a bad Italian accent. A running back and kick returner in the NFL for 4 seasons, has passed away at the age of 65. Vigorito played college football at Virginia and was selected in the 5th round of the 1981 NFL Draft by the Miami Dolphins. He played all 4 seasons with the Dolphins from 1981 to 1983 and 1985.
Our final obituary today is that of Wayne Mathern, a defensive back in the Canadian Football League for 6 seasons, has passed away at the age of 76. Mathern played college football at Northeast Louisiana University. He played for the BC Lions from 1971 to 1974, and he played for the Edmonton Eskimos from 1975 to 1976. He won a Grey Cup title with the Eskimos in 1975. All right, we're up to our upcoming events calendar. Friday, May 30th, the Arena League begins. They have 6 teams this year. They're playing 7 players per team this year, and it starts with a throw-off, not a kickoff, because they don't have kickers at all. No punts, no field goals, no extra points, no nothing. Yeah, that's arena football, all right.
The Arena League.
Yeah. Let's see. Thursday, June 5th, the CFL regular season begins.
Oh, thank goodness.
And that's going to be a Thursday night game with the Ottawa Red Blacks taking on traveling to Saskatchewan to take on the Rough Riders at 9 p.m. Why don't they do it like the NFL does and like have the Argonauts and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the 2 that were in the Grey Cup last year, start off the season?
Because they want to give everybody a chance to start the season, Randy. You can't just let you got a trophy, okay? They can't just start the season. This isn't the NFL. This is Canadian. They do it differently.
Yeah, I guess. But I was just surprised that one of the 2 teams that was in the championship game last year isn't in the first game of the year.
I'm sure Canada doesn't even care.
Probably
It's
not.
a new season.
I care. Let's see. Saturday, June 14th, the UFL championship game will take place in St. Louis. And Tuesday, July 1st, our 400th episode, which we're going to try and do live that day.
Do or do not. There is no try, said a famous Muppet. We're going live, baby. Any blunder Randy has is going to be absolutely noticeable. Good luck.
Yeah. Like today when I started reading the wrong script and you said, that's not right, let's start over again.
Yep, pretty much. I can't help Randy out during a live show like that. We're just going to have to roll with it. But
chaos will be the order of the day.
Heck yes, it will. It'll be fun. We'll be anxious to talk to people live. We'll have a few guests. Should be a fun time. We don't have anything set in stone yet. We've already reached out to one individual who sounds like they would be into the, popping on the show. We still got to make a few more connections, but yeah, I think it'll be fun. It'll be like a normal show, but with a little more, I don't know, just loosey-goosiness.
Well, by then the UFL will be done for the year, so we'll have one less league to talk about.
But I think at that point it should be the arena. We'll have the arena championship game, or the AF1 championship game to talk about from that previous weekend ahead of that. I believe we'll still be in the midst of the indoor football league at that point, I want to say. I don't know if they'll be in their playoffs or just, wrapping up the regular season. I have to look at their schedule. But obviously we'll be in the midst of CFL action, European League of Football action. A couple weeks out of the UFL, but maybe we'll have some fun expansion stuff to talk about.
I think the AF1 is in July. Because their championship game, I think, is the weekend we're supposed to be in Minneapolis.
I believe it is the weekend of June something. It is not in July, I believe. I can double check.
I'm pretty sure it's July.
I will check.
You check on that.
I am. I'm looking right now. So you can keep talking.
Let's see. Talking. Let's see. I don't have anything else. This is the end of the script. I got nothing to talk.
We reached the end of the script?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised I don't have the dates for the AFL championship game. Well, because it's probably in July. That's why I don't have it in there.
So it looks like the championship weekend will take place June 27th.
Really?
Yep. So,
Okay.
yeah, right into...
I'm going to have to add that to the calendar next week.
Yep. So we should be able to talk about that championship game on that live show. So it should be fitting that we'll talk about that. We could probably bring on some people who know about the arena on that show. Just saying.
Maybe some people who were involved in it?
Oh, maybe. We never know. Shoot, that could be a last-second thing. Don't spoil it even for me. I don't know that.
Well, since we do know preparation, everything's going to be a surprise for all of us.
Yeah.
All right. Anything pop up on your phone that we need to talk about before we close out the show?
I don't think so. No more breaking news from the NFL yet. Still waiting to hear about that tush-push in that playoff thing, but as soon as we hit stop, I'm sure it'll pop up.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, that's all the time we've got for this week. Don't forget to check out the World of Football merchandise at tpublic.com for the latest football-related hats, T-shirts, mugs, and more from our merch store. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about football every week. Join us again next time when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. Until next time, I'm Randy Snow.
And I'd like to give my father an early happy birthday. As we're recording on the 20th, his birthday is on the 21st. Happy birthday, Randy. How old you going to be?
None your business.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't go with the standard like 16 or whatever that your mom would always do. Whenever...
I'm 30 years older than you.
Okay, hold on. Let me do math. Let's see. I'm 36. So you're going to be 66?
Uh-huh.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
You don't look a day over 65.
Yeah. Well, not yet, because I'm not over 65 yet.
Oh, we don't know how to ever end these shows.
No, it gets worse every week.
Yes, it does.
Thanks for staying around to the end to see what sort of a debacle the show ends with.
Yeah, if you stuck around this long, you're a trooper.
Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
You're listening to This Week in the World of Football, which is coming to you from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. The purpose of this podcast is to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. The intent is to educate, inform, and entertain you, the listener, with the glorious buffet that is the world of football, while also keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. You can find this show on a multitude of podcast platforms as well as on YouTube. Timestamps are provided in the show description, so you can jump to the topics you really want to listen to. So without further ado, let's kick off this week's show.